Yo, what's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? Yo, what's good? What's good? Happy Thursday, everybody. You saw my little NBA draft strut. Obviously, my team would draft me, of course, the New York Knicks. What's good, everybody? Happy Thursday, yo. Happy Thursday. I hope everybody has had a great week so far and are ending the week strong. Obviously, we saw the NBA draft last night, so this is the 2024 NBA draft episode. And yeah, that's what we're gonna be talking about today. Welcome to the show again, to the Jayson Estrera show, where we talk about basketball, sports, and any topic that comes our way as accurate as possible. As always, it's your host, your boy Jayson Estrera. Now, today we are going to talk about, like I said, about the not so highly anticipated 2024 NBA draft. We're going to be pretty much talking about that, and obviously looking ahead to potentially Bronny getting drafted in today's draft. And we'll also, we're going to Met Gala this shit up, talk about some of the best and the worst fits that we saw last night. One of them was possibly one of the worst, the worst outfits, suits, whatever you want to call it, I've seen in a really long time. But yeah, man, let's get right into it. I think the draft today is going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern. It'll be 3 p.m. where I'm at. So yeah, we're gonna have to check that out, man. So before we get into it, this came out literally right before the draft had started, and OG Anunoby has apparently agreed to what? I think it's a 5-year, $212 million deal. Let me see if I can find it. And talk about big news with all of the moves that the Knicks have been doing in the past week. Yeah, $212 million deal, 5-year. And, so now you're thinking about Jalen Brunson with Julius Randle, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Mitchell Robinson. Well, actually, I don't know if they're going to keep. I know they have him, but I know that they're going to want to keep Isaiah Hartenstein. And, that's 8 players I just named. They are 8 players deep. And, that's obviously something that you love moving forward. OG has shown signs and flashes of being, a borderline star in this league. If we could see it more consistently, obviously. So, my guys, they're doing their thing. I do think that going the route of, let's say, trying to get a Paul George, even though I don't know if they would actually have the money for him. He's a little bit older. OG kind of fits their system more. Doesn't really need the ball in his hand all the time. A slashing wing player, can defend, has also improved his jump shot and his three-point shot, over time. And, hopefully it keeps improving. So, yeah, you got to love that signing. There was rumors about him reconnecting. Come on. This is a hard, okay, it's good. It's good. We're back. All right. We're back. Anyway, really excited to have OG on the team. Really excited to have that. My dog, bro. And moving forward, having a player like him, a good-sized wing, especially, we're going to see the players that are coming into the draft. We need a player with size. Josh Hart, obviously a little bit small, even though he's really great at what he does. We have OG and Mikal Bridges now to really offset that size and the liability that Jalen Brunson could be on defense. He's a smaller guard. It is what it is, right? So I would imagine their lineup will be Brunson, OG, Bridges, Randall, and either Robinson or Hartenstein, depending on how this offseason goes. And then you have a Josh Hart, a DiVincenzo off the bench, and then I don't know what the contract situation is with Deuce. Let's see. 3-year, $13 million. When is he signed until? Let's see. 2024, 2025. Oh, he's signed to 26, 27. So, hopefully seeing his improvement. He's solid and can score and go and get buckets. We have a nice thing going here right now. And obviously it's just a matter of going through and getting that experience as a group. But yeah, I love this little recipe that we're cooking up. To me, it really shows, for all the shit that I've given their ownership and their management, this management team has shown that they are seemingly committed to creating a legitimate team, a roster that can compete for many, many years, right? Not just putting stars together, and obviously you need stars in this league, but you have one that's emerged in Jalen Brunson. Julius Randle has always kind of been borderline. His numbers have been there, but people have gotten on him for disappearing in certain spots. I've gotten on him. I think sometimes he relies on his jump shot a little bit, but I think Brunson assuming that number one option, best player on the team role with a Julius Randle and OG, it kind of puts everyone in their right spots. And yeah, I think that it definitely looks good. It definitely looks good. So we'll see how that works out moving forward. Now, last night, we obviously saw the 2024 NBA draft. And I guess for me, the reaction is, who the fuck are these people? I mean, a lot of the college players, obviously, we've at least heard of or know a little bit about, seen them play a little bit. But with so many overseas guys, overtime, G League players, the NBA as a league has really made an effort and made it a point to look beyond these traditional means and, realizing that there is talent all over the world, literally all over the world. Granted, I still think American players dominate this league regardless of this narrative about European players and whatnot. The reality is American players still dominate the league and dominate basketball. But we are seeing more and more. And I think calling it an experiment would be a little bit, it wouldn't be accurate, because we have had some really, really great, and I mean great, overseas players, European players. But they do come in with deficiencies, just like everyone else, but they do come in with deficiencies, right? And throughout the night, you just hear Jay Billis, and he does this all the time, especially through the lottery, right? If you just listen to Jay Billis, you would think every player is the best motherfucking player ever. And, there were a couple times where he mentioned athleticism lacking a little bit in some of these guys. And that really is the reality of it. Because skills and development is something that can be acquired, but physical tools can't, right? No matter how much somebody goes into the gym and works out, they're not gonna get, that much faster or that much stronger, without a give and take at that too, right? So someone, like, let's say if you're 200 pounds, 6'3" or whatever, now and you want to get stronger, so you put on weight, now you're going to get slower, and so on and so forth. So, seeing a lot of these guys come in last night, obviously basketball has evolved, and we're seeing a lot more skillful players. But I think for me is we have to wait and see, and that's the part. They talk about all of these attributes. Oh, this guy could shoot, this guy could do this. When we've seen a player like a Giannis come in, it was because of his physical attributes. Wembanyama, it was because of his physical attributes. And if you go and talk about a player like Luka, you could say, oh, he's slow, he has no physical gifts, and you're right. But he did get gifted with being fucking 6'7", damn near 6'8", it looks like. He's not a small human being. And the reason he gets to perform those moves, the reason he's able to do them is because of his size. Yes, he's slower than everybody. Yes, but he's a big guy, and he knows how to use his body. And yes, that's a skill, but he has the tool of, he's a big guy, and the same goes for Jokic. Can't jump, not faster than anybody, but even he is also a bigger guy, right? Imagine him being 6'9". I think it would look a little bit different, right? So they do have that, and when we're talking about these guards, it's hard seeing them translate because physically they're going to have a difficult time, right? When you're not taller than a lot of folks. And I guess we can get right into it. Before we get into that, this was pissing me off, dog. Like, I don't know who is handling the cameras for the draft, but they need to get them the fuck out of there. Because why are you spending so much time on this family that is crying the entire time? And then when you have a family that's celebrating, you don't pan to them and stay on them? Like, what are we doing? Like, guys are opening their blazer jackets to show off, the design. Why the fuck are you guys not? Why do you go pan somewhere else? Isn't this about the players? Like, what the fuck? It happened time and again, and it was just like, it was getting really irritating, dog. It was getting really, really irritating. Probably should have flipped this around, but anyway, let's keep it rolling. Let's get some of these other topics out the way, and then we'll go right back into some of the hoop talk. Obviously, we didn't know a whole lot of these guys, but with that being said, we were able to Met Gala that shit up, and let's take a look at some of. I chose, I think, 3 or 4 in each one, who I thought were the best dressed, right? So let's start with this.
France, overtime elite.
Alex Sarr, fly. He was fly, dog.
Alex Sarr, 19-year-old, 7'5" wingspan.
Dog.
Jonathan Gavoni.
Yes,
Our
Sirski.
draft guru says
That shit's fire. I love the buttons. That shit's clean, bro. That shit's clean.
Connecticut. The 2024 Big East Freshman of the Year.
Also fire.
Unanimous pick. You see
Dan Hurley.
right
Yep.
there.
I didn't even realize, and obviously this is blurry as fuck, but I didn't even realize there's like a little leather thing here. Fire. Fire. And I know a lot of people folks are going to hate this. I thought Jared McCain's fit was clean, dog.
The 2024 ACC All-Rookie team coming out of Duke shot 41% from three.
I know a lot of folks are going to hate that crop blazer, but I thought that shit was clean. I thought that shit was clean. And I don't know what this was. I guess it's a trend or it's a thing right now because I've been loving the look, but everyone had on a double-breasted suit last night, and I thought it was really sick. I thought it was clean. They had, some folks were wearing different sizes. I think I saw Cody Williams, Jalen Williams' brother. He had on like a baggy brown one. I thought that was pretty clean. A little too baggy on him. He got like a slimmer frame, but I thought that shit was cool. Was fire still. But yeah, man. Obviously, fashion now is a huge aspect of the NBA, and whether you like it or not, it's a part of it, and it's what helps these guys generate more income, right? Like Jared McCain, for example, he's very unique, but even the outfit that he got on, it got a lot of nice little touches and bells and whistles, but it was just a black fit. It was unique and it was different, and he seems like a player. I'm gonna say right now, he seems like a player that can be marketable. Right? He seems like a player that can be marketable. And, obviously he's going to Philadelphia, city of brotherly love. And if he can make it through that tough environment of those fans, with his unique style, I think that we could really see him be someone that the NBA really pushes. And, he could benefit from just being unique and having his own flair. And I think that's a great thing, right? Now, to quickly look on the other side, we get to look at some of the worst. And I'm gonna say this right now. Reed Shepherd, this is not a bad suit. I actually love the suit. He actually looks great. I just can't help but feel like he should be doing our taxes. He looks like a super trustworthy fellow. No, but it's a clean suit. I like it. This is definitely not the worst. I just thought that was funny.
The University of Kentucky. I mean, no one had a bigger rise in the past year on NBA draft board.
It's clean. And it went with the tan hats that they had on this year. Dog.
Dallas, Texas, and the NBA G League's team Ignite.
Bro, what in the fuck is this? Nah. And then he had like a pattern under the suit. Nah, it was not it, man. It was not it. It was not it, bro.
Of Miami.
Dog, this is not our pick. This is not our pick. What the fuck is this?
Walker the fourth in 2018, and again,
bro, he didn't even tuck the shit in. Nah, bro. Nah, bro. You didn't even tuck the shit in. You just lose off of that, dog. Nah, that's outrageous. How the fuck did they not tell you?
And the University of Colorado. And you see this young man.
This is by far, bro, this is like one of the worst shit I've. It went down the back. It went down the back. Also, that stripe. It went between his leg, bro. I don't know what that monstrosity was, bro, but he's trolling. Yeah, no. He's trolling, bro. He's trolling. That was atrocious. But let's move on, man. Let's move on. Let's get back to the shit. So obviously last night we've talked a little bit about the Europeans kind of taking over. But, we really got this French connection going on right now with this damn draft. So let's take a look at the 4 players that got picked.
With the first pick in the 2024 NBA draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Zachary Rizache from Lyon, France, and France's J.L. Boron-Bress. With the second pick in the 2024 NBA draft, the Washington Wizards select Alex Sarr from Toulouse, France, overtime elite and Australia's Perth Wildcats of the NBL. With the sixth pick in the 2024 NBA draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Tijian Salon from Cholet, France. With the 25th pick in the 2024 NBA draft, the New York Knicks select Pacom Dadier.
We got Pacom.
Vitry-sur-Seine, France.
Wait, I'm going to change that face.
And so obviously we saw, 4 French players get picked in the first round of the draft, which, it's just obviously I guess to me, this is the part where they're sort of experimenting. They're seeing a lot of these guys, we've talked about it. Maybe they don't have the physical tools, like they're not stronger, faster, they don't jump higher than everybody. But you have taller guys that can have an advantage with skill. And obviously, teams are choosing to go in this route. And it's not to say that this guy's not a bad player per se, but he obviously has to put on more size, and it's very possible, right? It's very, very possible that he's going to do that. But when you start thinking about potential matchups, and this is just something that we got to see, someone like Zachary, I think they listed him at 6'10". You're looking at potentially a Giannis matchup. Tatum. Those are the kind of matchups that he's going to end up running into. Even like a Kawhi Leonard at 6'9", big build. And, he's going to obviously rely on that skill. And he doesn't look... And honestly, he looks pretty explosive. But we have to see, right? We got to see now. Obviously, the other one is Alex Sarr. We saw Alex Sarr, and he's, for a minute, he was projected to be the number 1 pick, right? He was projected to be the number 1 guy. For me, my only thing on him, and I think this is just a nitpick, and obviously this is something that could get adjusted. For someone as big as him, it doesn't feel like he uses all of his length all the time. And I was seeing him working out. His handle is tight. Don't get me wrong. His handle is tight. But when we see Wemby, the reason he looks so odd is because he stretches out You know, when he's going for layups, he fully extends. When he's catching a ball, like, he uses all of his wingspan, all of his height. And, you know, especially for bigs, that was something I used to hear all the time, you know, when coaches would teach, to use your length, use your height. Don't shrink yourself, right? Use all of your wingspan, right? Obviously, you don't want to keep dribbling and dangling the ball all the way out there, but use it. You know, don't just dribble in between in this tight space like you're a 6 foot tall point guard, right? You're 7'1". Use it. And that's just, to me, something that Wemby does very well. To me, I think the reason why they ended up going with a Zachary is because he just looks a little bit more explosive. His finishes just have, obviously from blurry YouTube videos, excuse me, they just seem to have more oomph, right? There's more power behind them. And to me, Alex Sarr seems a little bit more of a finesse player, right? And maybe that was what they noticed. Maybe they didn't. Maybe I'm fucking wrong too. But that, to me, is sort of the difference that I saw with, you know, just the way that they move, the way that they go after shots, the way that they take shots. It seems like in some instances you were kind of able to move Alex Sarr and really change his shot up, even if you're not that big. And obviously that's just in spurts, that's just in highlights. He's going to get bigger and he's going to put on size, and he's got a good base to start off of. But yeah, I think, like I said, Zachary looks just a little bit more explosive in my opinion. And who is the let's take a look at how he looks. Tijane Salon. Yeah, let's take a look at how homeboy looks. Yeah, we skipped that.
We'll see.
I don't want to get no fucking copyright or nothing, dog. Go ahead, another shooting big. You know, it's that time. It's that era. Oh, he's a shooter. It looks like he's looking to shoot the ball. Okay. Okay, that's solid. That's solid. Okay. Get to the cup. How tall is he? He's pretty tall, right? He's 6'9". Yeah. So he kind of middle of the pack right now. His jump shot definitely looks a little bit slower, but he looks like he looks like a shooter though. Like he actually looks like a shooter. So, you know, if you think about a jump shooter at his height, I'm getting kind of like Michael Porter Jr. kind of vibes, right? That's kind of his. Because even Michael Porter Jr., not exceptionally physical, not super physical at his height, not super athletic, could shoot the shit out of the ball, and has enough skill to, when you close out, he can, you know, go and make a play still, which is really, really valuable at 6'9", 6'10". So yeah, that's solid. He looks. I could see his game translating, actually, you know, in that sense. And then, what's his name? Macomb Dadet. Let's see how he's what he looks like, because that's gonna be the Knicks dog. Yup. Cool. He's 6'7", so you get a little bit more length at the wing guard position. You know, because for me, that's the issue with the Knicks. You have a Dante DiVincenzo. He's just small. Josh Hart's small. So, you know, being able to throw these guys in for those minutes, and they have size, this guy looks solid. You like that. You like to see that. So, you know, obviously they're trying this French thing. And it's obviously the Wemby effect. Right? And a lot of these guys, especially the first two picks, they really kind of mimic, or I guess it looks like the teams are trying to mimic Wemby, especially Alex Sarr, right? But you know, like I said earlier, I do think there's a distinct difference in the way that Wemby plays, what looks like his approach to the game, and obviously we're gonna learn about these guys more and more, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves, right? Like, Wemby looks like a once in a generation type of player. Obviously, aside from his height and what he could do physically, the skill that he's developed to go along with that, what seems to be his mentality and the way that he looks at the game. You know, we heard about meditation, sleeping early. You know, he don't seem to be too interested in the women. This life don't really faze him. He seems to be a really, really unique and special person in that way. And sometimes when we see the NBA doing shit like this, where they're just copy and pasting or attempting to copy and paste, they don't realize that you can't copy and paste a one of one. Right? There's things beyond what you could just see with your eyes that makes that person different and unique. And, you know, this is only a year into Wemby, right? What if he ends up shitting the bed next year or 2 years? I highly doubt it. I don't think that's going to fucking happen. But let's just say, then everything I'm saying won't mean a fucking thing. But you can't recreate something that's so unique, right? And you know, we're looking at some of these other guys, like a T-Jone, bro. I'm not even gonna Salone. What? I'm so sorry, bro. Don't you 6'9". I ain't even messing with that. But you know, getting these guys that can seemingly play other roles and not just be a carbon copy of Wemby, I think will go a long way. Now, the question, as always, when it comes to these European players is, how will they translate physically? You know, the NBA game is faster. Guys jump higher. Guys are strong as shit. It's a totally different game. But also, to Luka's point, you know, the defense is a little bit more lax. They play 5 out, so if you have an ability to get around your defender, you're dealing with open space behind them, right? That's why these guys are able to have success. It's not this jam-packed defense where everyone is below the three-point line. So with that spacing, and these guys, you know, can create off the dribble, they can have success. And especially some like I do think I like what's his name's game. I like Sar looks good, but it's one of those things I gotta wait and see. But the sixth pick and Zachary, I think actually look pretty solid, man. I think they actually look pretty solid, and all of these guys look like they can shoot. They all got solid looking jump shots. So if they could at least do that, then there will be a spot for them, because like I said, they have size, and if you can shoot with size, they'll be able to put you in somewhere. They'll be able to plug you in somewhere. And even more so when we look at the kind of teams that they get into, now we're talking about, can these guys develop them, right? Like Giannis, I've heard stories of the way that they were working Giannis. That motherfucker was working out, and we saw the way he was able to put on weight. But that comes from the team, the development staff, your strength and conditioning coaches. It really depends on the organization that you get to, and that's something that I think a lot of folks also miss when we watch these drafts, and they're like, "Oh, what happened with so and so star?" You got to understand that typically the lottery consists of the bottom teams of the NBA, the bottom quarter, bottom third teams of the NBA. That's what they're filled with. And when you're a bad team, that doesn't just mean you have a bad roster, or you have a bad coach, or you have players that just don't understand the concepts, or they just not, whatever the reasons are, right? A part of that is also management staff, coaching staff, the condition, even potentially their facilities. All of those things factor into having a bad team. And when we see some of these players go into these situations, it's no surprise to me why some of them don't pan out. Because if your team isn't helping you and you're in this new situation and you don't know what to do and no one's guiding you, then yeah, you're going to have a hard time getting better. Because if you think about, let's take high school and college, for example, right? You have practice, you have classes, you're on a schedule. And I guess, obviously once they get to college, you hear the stories of guys not going to classes. But what do? They're always in the gym working out and practicing. And they probably have two-a-days from the college teams. Practice is mandatory. Strength and conditioning is mandatory. And if y'all don't know, a lot of guys get onto these NBA teams and they have a lot of free time. Practice starts at around 9, 10 o'clock. They're probably out by like 12. If they're not working out extra on their own, or if their team isn't forcing them to or telling them to, a lot of these guys get caught up in the life. A lot of them just fuck around with their free time. And that's why, for what was it? The typical career of an NBA player is like 3 to 5 years. That's why. Because most of the teams in the NBA aren't great. Only the top, right? And you're talking 30, 32 teams. And we're talking about every year there's maybe 6 teams that legitimately have a chance to win a championship. So you're talking about a huge middle pack and then a bottom feeding teams that don't know what the fuck they're doing. And so, really looking at how these guys are going to develop not just their skill, because these European guys have skill and they have fundamentals already, but will they be able to grow physically? Is really the question. So yeah, man. Wait, what the? Oh, that's why. Now, for me, right, and this is just off eye test, This is purely off of just the eye test. I feel like for some I have no reason to validate this. No reason whatsoever. For some reason, Cody Williams, Jalen Williams' brother, looks like he's nice at basketball. Like for some reason, like you just look at him and just something about him looks like he's nice. Like he looked like he got a confidence and a swagger to him. He looks like he's nice, but the other person that really caught my eye, and I think it was just from the reaction, the way that they reacted to getting drafted, the way their family reacted, was Matas Buzelis. I think I'm saying that. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Who's going to Chicago. And, the first thing he said was how happy he was to be there. Like all he wanted was to be in that moment to get to get drafted. And then immediately started thanking all the haters and the people that doubted him along the way. And I said, wait a second. I like that. He has size. Looks like he could shoot, make plays. He definitely looks like one of those tough white guys in the NBA that can really shoot the ball. And we've seen how those guys, have careers in the NBA, and that's kind of the vibe that I got from him. He was just so grateful, and he just looked hungry. And I know, like I said, I'm from nothing, right? But he looked like he got something there. There was another player, man. I don't know, but hey, those two kind of stuck out in my mind. And now I couldn't believe this. Rob Dillingham is going to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I was like, wait a second, why the fuck are they trading that to Minnesota? I thought he could have been a really good guard for Wemby, and now he gets to grow under Mike Conley. Minnesota just did a great job. They did a great job right there. Because he's a different point guard than what Mike Conley is. And I love those kind of dynamics that you have on teams where you have this really composed, well-controlled starting point guard that can manage the game, manage egos. He's just a great manager of basketball, right? And Mike Conley. And he don't ever get technical fouls. He's always calm, cool, and collected. I raved about the way he passed the ball off early on an open shot to get Anthony Edwards going. How much of a veteran move that was. And now you get a guy like Rob Dillingham who, when he gets in the game, and this is what I would do. Because you have a Mike Conley on that team, you let him, you put him in the game and you just tell him to fucking go. You just give him the green light. Go I would challenge him to get to the paint every possession if he can. He looks like a bucket, and I think it translates into the NBA. And I think the Spurs gave away, and I know they've gone through so many guards in the last couple of years, but I think they gave away a real solid player to a team that needs it, right? They gave it to a team that needs it. Pair him with a Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's more of a shooter defender, with a point guard that can create, and all of a sudden they're starting to build out a bench. Like that bench is looking better and better, and we already saw how far they went. I didn't understand. I didn't understand why they did that, man. For the life of me, I couldn't understand why the fuck they did that, dog. Now, a lot of people were talking about this. A lot of people were talking about this, man, because with the 17th pick, a lot of folks were surprised that the Lakers didn't draft Bronny James and instead went with I almost said Galton. Dalton Knecht. And from what I've seen, he looks like an upgrade to Austin Reeves. He looks like he does a lot of the same things that Austin Reeves does, but has more size. And, when it comes to, I've been saying it. If you can, you got to try to pack a punch. You got to try to add. If you can add talent, add talent. And now I think this makes Austin Reeves a movable piece because to me, there's no reason to have both of them. Excuse me. To me, there's no reason at all to have two players that pretty much do the exact same thing and you're going to expect to do the same thing. And one is bigger. Now, granted, I guess maybe Austin Reeves can come off of the bench. But if he's someone that has value at the moment and you can get a return on for another piece that you need or add him into something to get a star back, then if you're the LA Lakers, you go and do that. And, if we're... Here, let's take a look at some of his highlights. And, LeBron and Davis have been vocal about adding another star to the team. And, which, they have the right to, obviously. Stars are much needed at the moment. But like I said, if you're going to add a player that's a bigger version of a player that you have, I think that now puts the clock on Austin Reeves. And he looks solid. I was a little bit... And then I went and watched some of his some of his tape, and I was like, all right, he looks all right. He looks pretty good. He looks like he could potentially be a better shooter than Austin Reeves. There's times where I thought Austin Reeves' jump 3-point shooter especially looked a little bit questionable, but that's obviously something that we're going to have to see moving forward. But honestly, a real solid pickup for the Lakers, and we'll have to wait and see what they do later, right? Now, I love this. Let me see if I can find it. So Ja Morant, the Memphis Grizzlies draft Zach Edey, and a lot of players were, a lot of teams were talking about. Here, let's take a look at this shit. I thought this was hilarious, dog.
Whoa! Damn!
With the 9th pick in the 2024 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Zach Edey.
So they get size. They pair him with Jaren Jackson Jr., which I actually like. I know a lot of people were questioning him and his style, but adding a post presence, because Jaren Jackson likes to live in the outside anyway, it could potentially work, right? It could potentially work. Now, I will say it obviously now adds a player in the paint for Ja Morant, but I think he's been able to deal with that because even Steven Adams lived in the paint and he was able to manage. Obviously Jaren Jackson's going to be picking and popping, so his man is not going to be a factor. And now you have someone that you could dump the ball to who can go and get you a bucket. So when Ja is driving, he can have the confidence to now drop that ball off to a player that can go and make a play at the rim. And I think that can go a long way because they were known for this tough team. You know, they got these tough guys in it. They were gangbusters. They would fuck people up. You know, especially when what's his name? When Dylan Brooks was there. But what they were really missing, in my opinion, was scoring. And if Zach Edey can use his tools and be a post presence in the NBA, then I think that can go a long way for them. Excuse me. And I'm not saying he's going to be some kind of star, but if he can go into the post and get you a couple buckets from the post every night, let's call it 8 to 10 points from the post, I think that'll go a really, really long way for the Memphis Grizzlies. And it'll ease in, especially someone like Ja Morant, who's been sitting for a long time. It'll ease that in because he's not going to be dealt with the pressure of having to go and score 30, 40 points a night if Zach Edey can go and get some points for you. So that'll help that transition, hopefully. And hey, it looks like Ja's excited, man. And let's be honest, Ja probably gonna try to dunk on that man. How many days into practice you think it's gonna be before Ja Morant try to dunk on Zach Edey? I think it's gonna be the first day. Don't let them be on opposite teams. Ja gonna try to dunk on him. If they're on the same team, he might try to dunk on him. But for sure, if you put him on opposite teams, he will try to dunk on that fool, bro. But yeah, I think this honestly was a solid pickup, and I think, you know, teams weren't doing a bad job yesterday. They weren't doing a bad job, if I'm being honest with you. Now, moving on to today, and this is like in 30 minutes, man. Will Bronny James get drafted today? I know a lot of guys. There's one guy saying, "Oh, he's not even in the top 100. No one's going to draft him. He's not good enough. Blah, 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 blah." Listen, bro. You think any of that matters? You think any of that matters? And this is the thing that kind of pisses me off about some of these draft analysts. Y'all act like y'all haven't been here before. There was one guy. He was yapping. He was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that that Kleck hasn't been that Dalton Knecht hasn't been drafted yet. Why is everyone drafting 17-year-olds?" Motherfucker, they've been going after 17-year-olds to draft for like 30 years. Where the fuck have you been? Like why is that news to you? Why are you so confused by that? That NBA teams go for youth. That age is a huge factor in this, because if you're 22 and you're coming in with this game, if I get someone at 18, I can get them to that point. But instead of it being college experience, it'll be professional NBA experience. As opposed to the 22-year-old coming in hasn't seen a lick of NBA yet. It's totally different. We've talked about how valuable experience can be, and that's why they draft younger players, because they can go and get that experience. I don't understand it, man. Bronny is gonna get drafted today. He's gonna get drafted today. If you see him there, he's gonna get drafted. If you don't see him there, that's a big sign. But if he's there, he's going to get drafted. And I think a part of it is because there's going to be a plan for him, and he has some tools that are usable. Starting with his physical gifts. You know, we're in an era right now where point guard. And if you're thinking about someone that's 6'2", 6'3", has good quickness and speed, can jump, you can use that. That's serviceable on defense, especially a player like him who's been under LeBron. You got to take everything into account. he's going to want to make a name for himself, and it seems like he's going to want to do it in a different way. And why not? There's no better start than on defense. Imagine he becomes a defensive stopper in this league. It'll make headlines just because he's so different from his dad. And I think he's going to get drafted just because his name, and for the amount of shit that he's been getting, I think he can translate into the NBA, right? And we've seen this before. We've seen a lot of these college folks that are good in college, and it doesn't translate into the NBA, and vice versa. Players that don't play so great in college and they translate in the NBA. We've seen both of them happen, and I think that Bronny is on the latter. I think he has a game that can translate into the NBA, especially if he goes to a team that has a legitimate plan on how to use him. Now, if they're just going in there blind, just fucking shooting in the dark, then he's going to look bad. But, that we'll have to judge that depending on what team drafts him. I think there's a real good chance that the Lakers do get him. I'm not going to lie to you. I think the Lakers do pick him up because, like I said, they're on a different beat right now. They move into a different beat right now. So this leads me to this question, though. With all of these players, especially with a draft this year that hasn't been so great, how important is the NBA draft? We were looking at all of the players, Cade Cunningham, Paolo Banchero, and obviously money is a factor, and I'll explain like this. At the end of their contract, the team that they're on can sign them for more money, right? Can re-sign them for more money than if they go test free agency. However, if you're a big market team, if you're Miami, New York, LA, Boston, Chicago, if you're one of these teams and a Paolo Banchero becomes a free agent, or a Wemby if he wants to test free agency, you can sign these players when they're becoming stars, right? And let them be on one of these shitty teams, see how they grow, see how they actually are in the NBA, and then when the time comes, try to sign them. Especially when we've seen star players have been moving at a rapid rate the last 10 years. It's not what it used to be. Stars now are dictating their careers, going to whatever teams they want, teaming up with their boys. So there is less importance on the draft because whatever team drafts this player, you now can watch how this player develops over 2-3 years and then say, all right, maybe we can go and make a play for him, whether it's a trade and then we could sign him, or we could sign him in free agency or whatnot. I do think that the stars moving around in the NBA has sort of devalued the importance of the NBA draft. We saw a team like Cleveland throw theirs away for 3 years in a row, getting Anthony Bennett, and I forgot who else they got. So, obviously, some of these top teams don't actually know how to draft well. You saw Nikola Jokic, arguably the best player in the league, drop to the second round. So, yeah, it's not as important as it used to be, especially when, like we've established already, if you're a lottery pick team, more often than not, that means you're one of the shittier teams in the league. That means your staff sucks. That means you guys don't really know how to judge talent. That means you guys don't know how to gauge talent. That means you guys don't really know how to build a team. So, yeah, you make shit decisions on drafting outside of there being a LeBron James or a Wemby where it's a clear cut on who you're going to draft. But when it comes to years like this, which happens, right? I think we've been spoiled. We got Wemby, we've gotten, Banchero, K. We've gotten a string of really good players. And, we were bound to have a shit year. And this was the year. And when you expect the worst teams with the worst management and the worst staff to now find a diamond in the rough, they're probably not going to do that. And so years like this, you might find a star in the second round, right? The 30th pick, the 29th pick, Isaiah Collier, he's a 6'3" guard, but he was, if I remember correctly, a lot of people were high on him and he dropped. Now, what if a player like him does phenomenal, right? And, obviously he's going to Utah, not the greatest situation, but I think this is going to be a draft where we're going to see players in the second round rise to the top, right? Cream always rise to the top. And, we're going to see good teams who did their homework really come out and be the winners of a draft like this. And yeah, man, I can't wait to see how these guys develop. I can't wait to see the rest of this draft because, one, I want to see where Bronny goes because, like I said, we think he's going to go get drafted. But also to see which guys might potentially come out as top tier, all-stars in this league. And no, that was from yesterday. So, hey, man, that's obviously all we did was talk about the draft today. That's going to do it for me today. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Thank y'all for watching. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit because it does help the channel. And as always, you could have been anywhere on the internet, but you were here with me, and I really, really appreciate you for that. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Let's go watch the second round of the draft. Let's see what happens. But I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you again. Peace.